yummy, creamy, sweet, hot, and savory snack. That's right, it's pepper jelly. Hey everyone, it's April, and thanks for stopping by my channel, My Crazy Creative Life. In today's video, we are making some homemade pepper jelly. And everything that I've used other than sugar, you know, that type of stuff, but all of my ingredients come out of my garden. And if you've never tried pepper jelly, oh buddy, you are missing out on a great snack or appetizer. But your pepper jelly is hot and sweet, and then you pour it over top of your cream cheese. You know, you want a little soft, or like that whipped cream cheese, but you put some of that pepper jelly onto a cracker. It can be like a Ritz cracker, a club cracker, whatever. Oh man alive, is that good. So anyway, if you have tried it, then you know how good it is. That is what we're making in today's video. So let's get started. Okay, so you're going to take about 12 jalapeno peppers and 1 bell pepper, and you're going to put them in your sink. You're going to wash them like I've showed you in the past with some baking soda and vinegar and water. Let that sit about roughly 15-20 minutes, something like that, to help kill out the germs and any pesticides, especially if you're getting them from a grocery store instead of your own garden. But anyway, I wish that my peppers had been a little longer, but you know, they were still in the growing process and I couldn't wait to get started on this. So go ahead and get your peppers washed and then rinsed off, and then set them out to the side to dry. Once your peppers have been washed, rinsed, and then set to the side and dried off just a little bit, you're going to slice them up. You want to start off by chopping off the top parts of the jalapeno pepper. You need 2 additional jalapenos, so I guess the total will be 14 instead of 12. But you need 2 additional if you want to see like bigger chunks in your jelly and not just, you know, green jelly. These are the first 6. So I'm actually deveining them. I'm getting out the seeds and all of the guts. If you want your pepper jelly harder, then just leave all the seeds and everything intact in all 12 of your peppers. I was afraid it'd be a little bit too hot, and I like a little heat but not a ton. And so I thought it would be best to go ahead and on half of them kind of scoop out the stuff, the insides. Because the insides, that's really where your heat is. It's those seeds and then that membrane that's on the inside. So it's up to you. If you like a lot of heat, then leave them alone. If you like just a little bit of heat, then do half and half. If you want it as mild as it can be, then you want to probably devein, you know, gut them or whatever you want to call it, all of the peppers. The other 6 peppers, I didn't do anything to them other than just cut that top with the stem off, and then I threw those 6 into my food processor. Then I took these other 6 that I did cut the middle out and put them in my food processor. Then you're going to take your bell pepper and cut it up and put it in your food processor too. And it's up to you if you want to take the seeds out on that. I did not, but that is up to you. What I'm doing next, I know I did not use gloves, and you should use gloves when you're cutting up any peppers. But if you are familiar with cutting up peppers without using gloves, you know that juice of the pepper, it stays in your hands about all day long. And I read that vinegar, whether it be white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, somehow it counteracts that capsaicin, which is the hot part that's in your peppers, and it helps to remove that capsaicin off your hands. So use a little bit of vinegar, scrub your hands with it, wash your hands. If you think it's still there, just repeat that, and after 1 or 2 times, it should remove that heat. All right, next I'm putting the lid on my food processor, and I'm just blending that baby up. You can see how ground up they are here. You will want to take a spoon or a spatula or something, and every so often stop your food processor and knock down those extra bits that kind of get up to the top that isn't getting ground in, if that makes sense. And so you want to do that periodically until it's all ground up really fine. Next, you're going to take all of your ground up peppers and pour them to a saucepan, and you're going to add 1.5 cups of apple cider vinegar and mix it really well. Bring the mixture to a rolling boil, which is a boil that won't stop when you try to stir it down. And you're going to reduce your heat to simmer or low, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, take those other 2 peppers and you want to slice them up really well. I just got out my mandolin because it made very small slices, and I did not use a glove or anything safety-wise other than just being careful. So again, don't do what I do, just do what I say. But I wanted to make like small little rings out of the other 2 peppers. And this section is sped up, so I'm really not going this fast. After the peppers have simmered, it's going to be thicker than it was to start off with. This is what it looks like after it had simmered down. You want to pull it off of the heat, and then I'm so sorry I didn't get this section recorded like I thought I did. So you're just going to take like a cheesecloth, and I just doubled mine over. And I laid it into a sift. That way it kind of makes it stable, and then I just dumped all of my peppers through the cheesecloth in the sift, and then I sort of picked it up very carefully, and I kind of just tried to tighten around the top the best I could. And then I took a spoon and I kind of squeezed down, tried to squeeze out some of that excess liquid. And finally, after it kind of cooled down somewhat, I was able to grab a hold of it and squeeze real good, squeeze out that excess juice. And my kids, I laugh, they say I have mom hands, I guess because I can handle stuff really hot. But anyway, I kind of squeeze it. And then also here, I feel like I'm milking a cow. But anyway, you're going to squeeze out your juice. You should get about 1 cup's worth of juice. I actually got 1.5 cups. So I've never made this before. I wanted to make sure I had the recipe right. So I just emptied that 1/2 cup and just put it in my fridge. That way, in case I want to try to make some later, whatever. So now that I have my 1 cup of the pepper juice, I'm going to return it back to my saucepan, and I'm going to add 4.5 cups of granulated sugar and a pinch of salt. And let me save you some trouble here. Do not return it to the small saucepan. Grab you a big pot and put it in that big pot, because when this stuff starts boiling, it's going to boil over, and you need something with a bigger surface area to be able to manage it. Now, those pepper rings I had sliced up earlier, I honestly felt they were still too big to put in that pepper jelly, so I diced them up really small. But you do what you want with those 2 peppers that you sliced up previously. But you're going to add all of those peppers, seeds and all, unless you just don't want the seeds, but seeds and all, in with your sugar, salt, and pepper juice. Stir the mixture very well until that sugar dissolves. Then you're going to bring this back to a rolling bowl, which is a bowl like here. It's a bowl that no matter how hard I stir, it's not going to stop boiling. If it's not reached that point yet, then you know it's not hot enough. But you see here, this is precisely why I'm telling you to get a big pot to start off with and not do what I just had to do. I had to switch it over. So after I switch it over, I'm going to bring it back to a bowl. And I think my time was probably a little bit hotter than it should have been, because my jelly honestly is a little bit thicker than it should be, but it's still good. But I think it's where I overcooked it just slightly because of this reason. So like I said, transfer it into a big pot instead of your saucepan. But anyway, you bring it to a rolling boil, let it boil for 1 minute. Once your timer goes off, you're going to pour in 4 ounces, which is 1 pack, of the liquid pectin. Now, this recipe is not made for the powdered pectin, so don't try to use powdered pectin here. It has to be the liquid pectin. But you're going to pour your liquid pectin in, stir it real good, and then once it comes back to a boil, you're going to boil it for another minute, and then you're done as far as the heat goes. Okay, then I'm bringing it to my counter. And I already had my setup on the stove. As I always do, if you watched any of my other canning videos, there's my setup with my ladle and my poke-joe and my flats and my funnel. And I've got it sitting on simmer while I'm cooking anything I'm getting ready to can. So I quickly bring my pepper jelly over to my towel that's on the counter with my hot jelly jars that have been in my water bath canner for at least 10 minutes. And then I will start. And also make sure that you've got your little bowl of vinegar water set to the side that you can wipe your rims with. So now I'm just filling up my jelly jars, and you're going to go to 1/4 inch headspace. I'm trying to show you, if you don't have something to measure, that very, very top little ring That should be your 1/4 inch headspace. So you're going to take your little pokey Joe and you're going to stir around the outer edge of that and then the inside, the middle. And you're trying to release any air bubbles. And this is where I realized I forgot to skim the foam off my jelly that was in the pot before I brought it over. Probably because the fiasco of having to switch from my saucepan to my big pot. But before you bring it over, you want to take a spoon, just something to try to skim the top of that foam off, preferably before you bring it over, or at least before you start filling up your jars. You want to skim off that foam that arises at the top of your jelly. All that is trapped air bubbles, but you don't want that in your jelly jars because that can mess up your seal. Skim the top of that foam off, and I apologize that I'm not showing you how to do that here. You can also take 1 tablespoon of real butter, but take 1 tablespoon, or 1 pat, as they call it. 1 pat is 1 tablespoon of your stick of butter, and put in there right before you take it off the burner and stir it down real good, let it melt. And something about that fat and that butter helps to reduce those air bubbles. Fill your jars up to the 1/4 inch headspace. You're going to wipe your rims really, really good. If you don't wipe your rims, then you got to put your flats on, and there's something between the rim and your flat, it will not seal. So make sure you wipe your rims really well. Tell everybody hi and say like my mommy's video and share and subscribe so that way you can see more of my cuteness. That's it. I'm going to continue here to fill up the rest of my jelly jars. So I'm putting all of these in my Dutch oven. Again, like I said, you can put them in your water bath canner, or you can make jelly or stuff that requires water bath canning, as long as it has a lid and as long as your water will go at least about 1 inch above your jars. Once you've got all of your jelly jars in your pot or your water bath canner, you're going to put your lid on it. Once that water comes back to a hard boil, then you're going to set your timer for 10 minutes. Once that timer goes off, then you're going to turn your oven off. If you were able to slide your pot over to another side of the stove, then wonderful. If not, that's okay. But take your lid off for at least 5 minutes. If you are using your water bath canner and it's got the insert, then bring the insert out and let them sit for another 5 minutes before you bring them to your counter that should have a towel on it. And the reason that is because you want to slowly let the jars kind of get acclimated to the ambient temperature, because if not, if you just bring them directly from that extremely hot water to your countertop, your jars very possibly could bust. So that's the whole point in this. So you slowly let them come back down to temperature. Oh, did you hear that? And sometimes you will go ahead and hear while they are sitting in the rack on your water bath counter, or you get them over to your countertop. Sometimes you'll hear them go ahead and seal. And that popping sound, oh, that's music to a canner's ear. Normally I have a big bath towel. I don't know why I used my little stained up kitchen towel here, but anyway, you want to have a big towel on your counter, put them on there. Then once you get all your jars, then you're going to wrap them up like a baby. You want to just cover them completely, and you don't touch them for 24 hours. You just leave them alone, let them lay there for 24 hours. The next day, you want to take off your rings. You want to fill a sink. You don't want to fill your sink full though, but put you a little bit of soapy water with a little bit of vinegar in your sink, and you're going to wash those jars. You are also, during this process, you're going to check your flats. You're going to tug on them a little bit and see, okay, are they loose? Did they seal okay? Then you're going to press down in that middle area that tells you if your jars have sealed or not. You're going to kind of press in on that to see, okay, is it going to pop back out? If all of that is okay, then your jars have sealed and you're good to go. So you're going to wash your jars. You're going to wash around that rim really good, because sometimes there is a little bit of air that escapes out of that. Sometimes even a little bit of fluid may escape out of that, and it's okay. As long as your flats have sealed properly, then that's okay. You don't have to worry about it. But go ahead and wash your jars, rinse them, put them to the side to dry. then you're going to take a Sharpie marker and you're going to write what it is and the date. I do not put my lids back on. I've told you if you listen to any of my other videos, because it's possible that if it spoils while it's sitting in storage, and if that ring is still holding that flat down, I may not notice it. But if that ring is off, then I may be more apt to notice, hey, something's not right here, if that makes any sense. But obviously, if you are giving this as a gift to someone, put the ring back on it. But anyway, that's it. Pepper jelly is that simple. Alright, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you've never made pepper jelly or tried pepper jelly, I really encourage you to make some, try it. You know, it's great for Christmas gifts. Once someone tries your pepper jelly, usually they love it and it makes a good gift. Before I got to where I couldn't work anymore, one of the nurses I worked with, which I was a nurse. Well, I'm still a nurse, but I'm just a disabled nurse. But anyway, one of the nurses I worked with, she had brought some to work that night, and oh man, that's the first time I'd ever tried it, and I loved it. And so that year for Christmas, because that's all I talked about, that year for Christmas, she brought me a jar. She's the one that got me started on the jelly. But with all that being said, I'll shut up, Gavin. I hope that you make it and you enjoy it. And if you like this video, if you have found any value in it, give me a thumbs up, please. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'm asking for a big favor. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers. So I'm hoping that you can help me reach that goal. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around with me. And also share my videos. That way other people can see. And like the video. That kind of helps the algorithm push out, your videos to other people who may not have seen who you are yet. So, but help me get to that 500 goal. And that's all for this video, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.